Welcome, everybody, to the Millionaire Mindset Radio Show. I am your host, Andre Jones, and my host here, Damian Sorrell. How you doing, Damian?
You know my mama gonna text you,
Okay, I'm sorry.
but you got to
Damon,
take you
Damon,
got to take that
Damon,
eye
I'm
out.
sorry.
Look, my phone buzzing now. I'm ignore it.
Sorry, Mama. I don't mean to hurt. I don't
That's
mean to mess
okay.
that up.
You know we don't gospel nation, so I forgive you.
All right. All right. What's going on, my brother? How you doing?
Oh, and look, the weather is getting kind of going up and down. Some people's sinuses going crazy. I'm hanging in there. Had another family that is closing today, so I want to give a congratulations to the Ledesma family.
Congratulations.
I couldn't make the closing today, but talked over everything with them last night. They are officially homeowners in 1 hour.
Wow.
And so
Congratulations.
that is, well, not just my goal, but that'll lead into what we always talk about. We got 28 days left in this year.
That's it.
And you have an opportunity to be a homeowner. It is vital that you do it. Investors and landlords, they have a different mindset. Profit first. So if that means raising your rent is what they need in order to reach their goals, guess what? They're gonna do it.
They're gonna raise it even if they don't have to, just because they can.
Just because they can.
Just because they can.
Because they know there is a shortage in the market. It's a shortage in the market of where you can live. So
that's why they go to so many apartments right now.
yes. So here's the thing: if you want to give your family the best advantage in life, especially when we're talking about our kids, where you want to get them in particular school districts, or you just want to have your family to have certain amenities, that means you need to be a homeowner.
Yeah.
So for the caller, the people who are out there who have questions about the process or want to know about the best neighborhoods to live in, or just to get them a starter home, call Andres Jones at 832-883-0375. If you would like to know about different financing options, first-time home buyer programs, down payment assistance program, I'd love to help you, tell you about the process, walk you through it, hold your hand. You can reach me at 832-956-6000.
Yeah. And if you can close by the end of the year, you can get your homestead exemption for 2022 before.
Yes.
You can file for your homestead in 2022. So that's a big advantage. Just discounting your property taxes you get every year. And you only got to file one time, and every year you can file on your taxes. So it's definitely a good advantage. And right now, the market's a little bit slower than spring and summer. It's a lot of inventory, a lot less buyers out there. I'm not going to say it's not as many, but it's a lot less. It's still busy. It's still a busy market, but it's a lot less buyers right now because of the holidays and things like that. So prices aren't as high.
I just want to speak on something real quick. I don't know if are you a sports fan?
Yeah.
Okay. So you notice right now that Major League Baseball possibly is going on a strike, and then you were saying how things are kind of slowing down. So that kind of leads me into what we're going to talk about today about our special guest. So you have in most of the time, what happens is a lot of times people want to talk to professional athletes. They want to talk to baseball players, basketball players, football, so forth. Well, today we got an opportunity to talk to a athlete professional. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
This brother here, and a matter of fact, I got to say this also. We're gonna have to find a way to get some more TSU graduates here, because this is about our fourth or fifth guest that is another PV, that's representing PV. We got another PV graduate here, former athlete, now professional, white collar professional. Not just that, he's a second generation commercial real estate developer. So he comes from a lineage of making things happen. To give you a little more detail, this brother here in 2019 for Century 21 commercial was awarded with top producer.
Yeah.
and Rookie of the Year.
Come on now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to meet Michael Pittman II.
Second, that's right.
Right.
Good
Thank you
morning.
very much. Good morning. Good morning.
How you
Did
doing,
some,
man?
did some research on me.
Yeah.
Look me up.
I'm like the FBI baby mamas. We background check everything.
The credit check. Right?
Yes.
It's good.
We want to thank you for the opportunity
Yeah.
to taking time out of your schedule and coming out here. We want to give you your flowers because
Young brother, too.
young brother,
Man.
29 years old,
29.
and I'm just looking at your track record, and it is simply amazing. Can you tell the audience a little bit about your background? We want to know, a little bit about where you started,
Sure.
school, everything, and to where you are now.
Absolutely. So Mike Pittman II, or Michael Pittman II, go by Mike. I was born and raised in Springfield, Illinois.
Okay.
And I went to high school there, and after I graduated, went to junior college, played baseball. I tell people I'm the son of a real estate developer and a broker. My father was a developer, mother was a broker. Father did shopping centers, apartment complexes. I saw him do a 30-home subdivision that he built. It was in the areas that he was doing these projects would have been demographic-wise of what we would consider Fifth Ward or Cashmere Gardens here in Houston. So he was doing these projects using tax increment financing and making numbers pencil when other people wouldn't even touch land parcels over in that area. And so I grew up in city council meetings, meeting people that, hey, Mike, I want you to meet. He would say, hey, I want you to meet Sylvester. And it would be the mayor of Springfield, or Sylvester Turner. Say, hey, I want you to meet, the mayor. And these are people I grew up with around. And my father and my mother are from St. Louis and East St. Louis. And the Peabody Estates is where my father grew up, and East Boogie, if you know anything about the Midwest.
I know a little bit about it. I did a little work in St. Louis, and I went across Martin Luther King Bridge.
You know it when
Yeah,
you go across.
you go across that bridge to East St. Louis, and even got a chance to gamble a little bit. What is it? The Four Queens, the little casino. They used to be on the boats.
I'm not for sure that on that one. Definitely when you go across the river, that's when you can gamble for sure.
Oh yeah.
But so it just had a great childhood with my sister, and then father played 6 years in the Cardinals organization as a left-handed pitcher in the minor leagues, and I began to play baseball as well too. And I came to Texas on a Division I baseball scholarship, like you said, to Prairie View, the Prairie View A&M. So played baseball out there, and that was a great experience coming from Springfield, Illinois to Prairie View. And upon graduating, I looked at where do I want to be next. And so I said, well, I saw some LinkedIn data that said 96% of Prairie View graduates live in Houston and work in Houston. And so I clapped and said, I got it made. I'm going to Houston. I'm going to make $180,000 my first year, and everything's going to be set. And I didn't necessarily operate like that initially. I went on and worked for the Astros for very little time.
Really?
In retail, nothing special at all. And then I worked at United Airlines for a couple of years.
Okay.
Loved that position there. And after I left United, I wrote a book. And the book is called The Art of Implementation, How to Do Things You've Always Wanted to Do. And went on the speaking circuit to speaking to colleges, universities, businesses, and the like. And from after leaving my job with United in December, from January to maybe September, I made a couple $1,000s. I published my book in September, and I made $2,000 in a week, and this is like the most money I've seen,
Most
ever.
people.
Probably, the most money I've seen in a long time. And I published my book, and I made an internal commitment. I said, Lord, I'm going to give you 13% of all my revenues this year from this book. Well, I make the $2,000. I'm extremely happy. I'm out in LA doing some speaking and selling books. And after I make the $2,000, I use it to reinvest to buy more books, naturally so. And I'm sitting down at my cousin's house watching TV, and they have this pastor, and he was talking about giving. And I'm just feeling all types of convicted, just beat up. And I'm like, man, I didn't honor my I hadn't honored my commitment that I said I was going to do. And so what I did, I had about $30-something in my bank account at that moment after reopening them books. I had some people who owed me, some friends who owed me some money, but you know how that works. It never comes when it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what, Lord, I'm going to give you $30 right now. I'm just giving you literally, like, this is all I got. It doesn't even fulfill the requirement that I had said I was going to put on myself, but it's all I have. And I did that. And the very next day, I went on a game show called The Price is Right.
What?
And I won 3 cars. I won $73,000 worth of prizes, including 3 cars. And
I didn't know they gave away 3 cars.
Well,
I know they give away a car, but
well, if you win so many,
I guess you win that first showcase, and then you win it on
the first
you won the big
showcase,
thing at the end.
and then you have the thing at the end called the Showcase Showdown.
Yeah.
And on the Showcase Showdown, I not only won what was presented for me for the Showcase Showdown, but I also was within X amount that I won the other person's prizes that they bid on as well too.
So you won both.
So you just went straight gangster, and you gonna just, I got mine, but guess what? I want yours too.
So that happened, and
that was a springboard there.
it was a slow springboard, and and maybe kind of essential, kind of foreshadowing about how commercial real estate operates. It was great. You have all that excitement. Then they take you to the back room after everything has been recorded, and it takes months before you can receive any of those prizes. And they don't air the episode until 3 months later. So,
Wow.
So you sign NDAs that you're not going to tell the outcome of what goes on, and you basically sit here and you can't talk about it until it airs. And then after it airs, then you get a chance to get your prizes sometime later. Mm. So you have to pay taxes and all those things. So although I knew I was getting 3 cars, it probably didn't come until 6 months later. Wow. That process. So wow. That was I'm tying this into just commercial real estate.
Yeah.
That was a huge piece for me because I said, okay, I have these vehicles coming in, I have some other gifts and prizes coming. What can I do to reinvest in myself? What can I do? I said, well, I could go here, I could do that. I said, well, you know what? My father I saw him do development all my life. My mother, she sold homes and was a broker all my life. Let me go flip a house. I'm gonna go get into the game. I got the genes and I got the golden hand. I'm going to just go and do something. And I looked at a house that was out in Cyprus that had flooded. And this home that had flooded, I said, right before I was going to put an earnest money contract down and put my money up, I said, you know what? I felt queasy. And I said, this is like putting it all on black. And I didn't want to put it all on black after just kind of working and getting some prizes. And I said, well, you know what? Let me get my real estate license instead and learn everything I can about the process and just get up in my knowledge. So I never bought the house, but getting my real estate license has paid an infinite return. I could have made, $150,000 on that house, and it would pale in comparison into what I've learned, earned, the people I've gotten to meet over time by having a license, and so that's paid an infinite dividend to this day. So I fast forward from making that decision to get the license. I went to a small, we call a residential firm. It was a residential shop that they did commercial real estate, and I was operated there. Did some shopping centers, sold some apartment complexes, industrial buildings, all kind of within 610. And from there, I had an offer from, have you ever heard of Cushman & Wakefield?
Mm-hmm.
So
big time.
I had an offer to join Cushman & Wakefield in their retail division. And then I also simultaneously had another offer to be a VP of real estate with a nonprofit real estate development firm as well too, where they saw my background and history. And I ended up going with the developer role. And we actually just finished up doing a project called the East End Maker Hub, which is a $38 million redevelopment project of a Baker Hughes campus in the East End off of Navigation.
Okay.
And we used a very, very complex financing to complete it as a nonprofit, from a Section 108 loans and new market tax credits and EDA grant and all these other financial vehicles to pull this off. And long story short, that project is slated, it's in Second Ward. You have Fifth Ward to the north, you have Third Ward to the south. So it's right smack in the middle of everything. And that project is supposed to bring jobs to within the 3 mile. All the tenants who sign a lease with us state that they'll hire people within the 3 mile radius of the community. So that's Fifth Ward, Second Ward, Third Ward that they hire people from, and it's supposed to bring a minimum of 430 jobs to the community.
Wow.
And these are manufacturing jobs that pay probably a minimum of $17, $18 an hour, and will go all the way up to $50, $60 an hour.
The Second Ward's changed a lot.
A
They used
whole
to be
lot.
they used to be a dump over there, and by Denver Harbor and all that stuff over there.
Yep.
They used to be ghetto as a nothing, boy. Way back when.
Yeah.
They've changed it a lot. Even the homes over there, they're old. They cost $300,000-$400,000 for a house over there that's old. You
That's
know?
right. That's right.
And it's changed. Third Ward too, and Fifth Ward, they're working on it now.
We got East River, and you have East River that's coming in Fifth Ward. There's a lot of, I think, people outside of people who look like you and me, right? There are people who have money and want to invest, and they've kind of, what I call it, woken up and said, let's look at southeast side of downtown. What's going on over here? What's
It
this?
doesn't flood.
What's it exactly?
So quite
And
naturally,
it's close to the work areas, all those
Yeah.
major
Yes.
job areas.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot. I'm a huge proponent. I'm a huge, very bullish on Fifth Ward, Second Ward, Third Ward, and North Side too, near North Side as well too. Versus the Heights, Midtown, Montrose, and
Yeah.
River Oaks. I love those areas as well too. But
So give us a little more. So for the audience, for people who may have general information, some people do understand real estate. This is more of commercial and development. Could you give them kind of the basics of what it is? Because some people may not understand it, but may want to go in that direction.
sure. So in my role, I do brokerage and development. Brokerage, commercial brokerage is just the same thing that you would see for a residential agent. Sometimes they refer to them as realtors as well too. But that's helping people buy and sell and lease commercial real estate. And so that's if you have if you know somebody has an apartment complex, if Big Mama got a 10-acre piece of land that's been in her family for 3 generations, and she's finally ready to sell it, we handle that. If you are a salon and you want to lease in a retail building, that's a commercial lease. If you are a tax professional and you want to open up in an office building, well, that's a commercial real estate. It's an office lease. So it's retail, industrial, office, multifamily, anything.
Mixed use, where let's say it's where I'm thinking we're seeing it more in the inner loop, where it's I guess retail at the bottom, and then there is where people live on top of it.
Right, apartments or office.
Or office, yeah.
Yep, that's definitely all of that's within. Anything that is not a personal residence is probably under the commercial real estate guidelines. So I do those from selling and lease, helping people sell and lease properties. Then on the development side, that's more on the we call kind of the ownership side of the equation, where you are building projects that people would live, work, or play in. So there, you may take a piece of vacant land and go through what we call the entitlements. So that's working through the deed restrictions, working through with the legal counsel that you can build here, getting the utilities set up that you need, and then managing the construction team and managing the architectural team to deliver on the timeline. And then after that, getting the commercial broker to be able to do the lease up or find you somebody who's going to operate and pay rent at the facility or buy the facility after you're done. So the developer is just like you would see a home builder per se, who's going to get something out of the ground and either sell it or lease it. That's a developer is doing that on the commercial side.
So are these?
So what do you think if somebody wanted to get in commercial real estate? You know, being there already residential or not, they haven't even started. You know, they just want to get into that area. What are some suggestions that you would suggest they do to get into that, you know, area? Because it's very technical. You know, commercial is like it's an animal compared to residential. You know, there's so much to know, and plus the process is longer. The payoff is good, but it takes a lot longer to complete, you know, a deal sometimes. So what are some suggestions you would give somebody that wants to get into that area?
You know, I would say if you want to get into the area, commercial real estate, to go all in, right? You sail your ship, dock it, and burn the boat up, and say that, you know, sink or swim. This is what we're going to do. And the reason I say that is because it's hard to do something to dabble in it just once or twice.
Yeah.
But if you go all in and commit, then that's the way I've seen for people who have a lot of success in the space. The other thing I would say is to, you know, there's an old adage, if you hang around the barber shop long enough, you'll get a haircut, right? I think it's the same thing with commercial real estate. If you go to what we call Urban Land Institute, they have an organization here in Houston. If you go to all of their events, if you go to CCIM, stands for Certified Commercial Investment Member, where they have events and training and courses that you can take. If you go to to learn about SIOR, that's Society for Industrial and Office Representatives, Professionals. If you go to NAIOP, all these different organizations that are purely for commercial endeavors, I would say get in the room and be around people who are doing that every single day. And if, you know, sometimes you may swallow your pride if you've already been more established in your career and say, I'm willing to take a pay cut for the first year to 3 years, but in order to take a 2,000% increase in my potential earnings for the rest of my life. And if I do that, I know I can get around someone and maybe, you know, humble myself and say, okay,
Be mentored.
be mentored and say, maybe and get into the room and so I can start learning. Because if you just try to do it as a one-off, or try to just learn on the fly or learn at the expense of your client, I think that is something that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So I think
that's not the time to learn when you got a
client.
No.
that type of money too.
No.
You don't want to do. Sometimes the leases be 3 to 5 years. You're talking, you know, $40,000-$50,000. You know, that ain't the time to start learning how to do this. You know,
if you got I'll say this: if you got a best friend from college, and he or she owns a business, and they come to you and they say, I know you're in real estate. Can you help me do a 80,000 square foot lease for my company? And you start calculating, I'm going to make a major commission. This is going to be great. The better thing for you to probably do is to keep the relationship with that best friend and say, hey, let me go find someone who does this every single day, and I'm going to partner with them on it. You're still going to communicate with me, and I'm going to watch over them to make sure that they're not doing anything wrong, but we're going to make sure that you get taken care of, and then you make sure that you keep your client as well too, because that's your best friend, right? So I think that's a better option to do, is to, if you have something that's legitimate and serious, to partner with someone. And I would say the same thing for a commercial agent talking to a residential side. My wife will tell you, I don't try to get in residential because I don't keep up to date with the changing laws, the rules, what's going on in the market. I don't know.
Shoot, it's hard to keep up anyway.
But I see how it all ties in
the
together.
time.
Because what you just spoke about earlier about the jobs that's going to be created in the East End, will home developers will build in areas that are going to grow. If there is some type of development there where there's going to be businesses, there, and there's a growth, well, then they need they need homes in those areas. So all of that is tying in together. So do you develop relationships, or do you have relationships with, let's say, like home developers or just builders?
Yeah, I do. I do. A lot of those have started at Urban Land Institute, the ULI. I'm just meeting people in the room, and maybe I meet somebody across and say I'm a civil engineer, or I'm a home builder, and we may not have the exact commonality on putting something together, but they may know something I don't. They say, well, we're getting ready to kick off. For instance, I like to use Waller. We're getting ready to kick off a 500 home subdivision in Waller. Just use an example. Well, if you have 500 people that are going to buy homes in Waller, this is 500 people who need to eat. This is 500 people who need a place of worship. This is 500 people who want a place to shop, to buy clothes. This is 500 people. All these they have needs and services, and so they can run hand in hand, as you're getting to, where if you have rooftops, then that's how you can get the retail,
Yes.
the others.
Yes.
So it starts with the rooftops. You got to have people around.
That's true. I'm guessing that's how they do everybody does all their analytics and stuff, like Starbucks, because I know they're big on finding out where, if people are going to live here, we're going to put one over there.
That's right.
Because they do a lot of research
Yep.
to figure out where they're going to end up putting the store at.
They want to know foot traffic, vehicle traffic, and how many people are around within an X amount of mile radius. And that's how you can determine, that's what a lot of times we'll see attract these different types of tenants to a space. Separate of industrial and manufacturing, they're kind of different. We have good access. Do we have a large piece of land? Can we get semi trucks in and out? Can we get on the freeway easier? Can we get a ton of electricity to the plant? How far away will our employees have to drive from to have a good experience? Because they may offer a good job, but if someone offers you a great job in the middle of Timbuktu versus a decent job, but you're in the middle of all the happenings and the works, well, it's kind of hard to compete for that, for that employee with other companies as well.
So that means that you have to have a relationship with government entities based on what you're saying. Whereas, let's say my mother retired from oil and gas. So Lyondell Petrochemical is Lyondell Brazil now.
Yep.
So based on what you're saying is, if they decided to build a facility 100 miles from, let's say, city of Houston, well, a developer, if that's a facility that's getting ready to be built and it's going to bring 1,000 jobs, then a home developer is going to want to build in that area because they're going to need, those people are going to need a place to stay very close.
That's right.
But then also the state is going to have to see how they can run some type of freeway, roads, or whatever, expand the road that can lead to that facility, but then also open up for the developers.
That's right.
So
when they make those decisions, if you have a huge company that's coming and going to hire, let's say 1,000 people, like you said, I can promise you that they are speaking with the municipal organizations, the municipalities, and the governmental powers that be, because they're bringing those jobs. They're going to need infrastructure. They may have incentives that they get from the government as well too, from the local governments to come operate here, and they're going to bring a lot of commerce to that area as well too. So,
Yeah, come on.
yeah.
So, what you need?
Yeah, that's economic
Tell us what you
development.
want us to do.
yeah, because of the roads have to be developed. They're gonna need fiber optics.
Yep.
All the rest of the utilities. So on your end, you're a part of that.
Yes, as a developer, yeah, I would be a part of that. That's right. Now, mine personally, I'm more of an interloop person, so I don't do the sites that I look at and I work with clients or for our firm. We're looking at sites that a lot of times used to be something, and now we're changing it to something else. So maybe
Conversion or renovation, something
Right.
to that extent. Okay.
maybe Baker Hughes used to have a huge campus somewhere. you call it, it's about 30-acre campus. And they have it, it's been abandoned for 15, 20 years. Nobody uses it. There's these buildings there. Some are good, some are not. We'll take that and then we'll adapt, we'll do a reuse, we call it adaptive reuse, and bring a new life to the building. And maybe we do a little bit of retail, a little bit of industrial, a little bit of office, maybe it's a daycare center, and some apartments. And you create a new environment based off of the old bones that are laying there.
So, and you're correct. You said East End. I think we call it Edo.
Edo, yeah.
Yeah, so you got,
And that's what we're seeing over there. All those old warehouses, old buildings, they're being converted into luxury apartments.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a little bit of everything, from studios
Yes.
to creative design spaces. And you've seen that in Sawyer Yards. It's happened as well too, where they've done those. So you'll see that more and more, especially when areas of Houston that have large sites, that what I call sites are large kind of areas that can be redeveloped. You'll see that more and more. In the East End, honestly, on the east side of town, between 3rd Ward, 5th Ward, 2nd Ward, they have the most of that because a lot of the historical manufacturing was over there.
And no HOA. As a matter of fact, I believe the city does not have a, forgive me, I'm trying to find the right verbiage, where what was happening in 5th Ward and some of these areas, you would see 3 or 4 homes and then an auto salvage yard right next door to it.
No deed restrictions.
No deed restrictions. And so I don't believe there was too many in the inner loop outside of like River Oaks or something. There was no deed restriction in these areas. So now that helps with the development, correct?
Yeah, for us, zoning, we don't have any zoning,
Right.
laws.
Zoning laws, okay.
So we do have deed restrictions, and that's kind of our wild, wild west way of kind of controlling things if you have, because there may be, like we looked at a site that had an industrial deed restriction on it. So you can only have industrial buildings in that area. Interesting thing, we live in kind of the 3rd Ward area. If you're familiar with the history of Riverside Terrace,
Beautiful area.
and you got the Jews and blacks where they were fluent, and they couldn't live in River Oaks because the deed restrictions that were in there.
Yeah.
And so they went and built amazing mansions, in Riverside. And did that because of the deed restrictions. So it's the same thing on the commercial side as well too. We don't have zoning, so you technically can kind of do whatever you want within building code requirements. So you still have to have the proper parking, which is
yeah.
we all took a breath on that. That parking is an animal to go through. So you have to have parking. You have to meet certain code requirements, but we don't have the same type of process that other large cities in the United States have.
And talk about UP CDC. That's where your VP at?
Yes.
VP of real estate at?
Yep. So
what do y'all do there?
It's Urban Partnerships Community Development Corporation. It's a tongue twister, but we're a nonprofit commercial real estate development firm. So we do projects in LMI or low to moderate income communities that help bring jobs to residents of those communities via commercial and industrial development. And so we match up public funds, private funds, philanthropic funds as well too, and we have a promise that's within development. So we understand real estate development process end to end, have done it many, many years, and millions of square feet that we've put in the ground that we've delivered. And we are able to match up these different resources to do projects like the East End Maker Hub, or a CDC or the like would do something like what Marlon Mitchell did with the Palm Center. That's another type of project that you would see, or where they're doing projects that aren't for profit, but they still have a very large impact to the communities that they're in. And so in my capacity, I oversee all of our acquisitions, our leasing efforts for any project, any assets that we own. And also I work on the day-to-day development operations for projects that we do as well too.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Something that came to mind in 5th Ward, there was an old HISD building that you could see from the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever reason, I guess HISD let it go. That is now St. Arnold's Brewery.
Oh, yeah,
So-
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That kind of ties into what you were saying earlier about existing facilities and then converting them, because that was, I believe that was a food facility for HISD.
Yeah.
And now it's a brewery. They created a little parking space for it. But I'm just thinking about all of these old buildings in this area that he's talking about, and that it seems like you have a tie to some type of conversion there.
Right.
So is the goal to go outside of East End and grow outwards as far as what you're doing, or just
No,
East End?
definitely grow out. We have our eyes on other projects. We've looked at projects in Acres Homes. We've looked at projects in 3rd Ward, 5th Ward. If you heard of East River, there's a black-owned grocery store that was announced that's going to.
Yeah, just opened it.
They haven't opened up yet. The lease is
yet.
done. So,
Okay.
But the lease is done. So I represented that tenant, that client. That's my
Oh,
client.
Okay.
And so we'll do stuff like that as well too.
So he got all black products in there, from all black
Yeah.
entrepreneurs bring their things in, the candles and all kind of
So
stuff.
that's Black Market Houston.
Yeah.
That's a different.
Yeah.
That's also a client.
Oh,
as
okay.
well, too.
Okay.
It's in Pearland that he opened that one up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they
Okay.
just had an event.
Thanksgiving,
last-
huh? On the Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving?
Recently,
Day after
yeah.
Thanksgiving?
Yep.
It was just very recently.
Yeah.
Yes.
So shout out to JL Malone. JL definitely got a lot of love for you, man.
Yeah.
And your wife, but
And they're supposed to open a black-owned grocery store. Supposed to be the first one
that's,
over there. I think it's East River that he was
that's
talking about.
right. That's Johnny
Yeah.
Rhodes.
Yeah.
Talking about that
Okay.
one. He was a chef. Got a James Beard Award. I don't know if you ever heard of that or not. It's just like it's like winning an Oscar. He's
Okay.
nominated for a James Beard Award as a
Wow.
chef, and he's opening up a grocery store in East River in 2023. I think that'll open up.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, that's no time from now. We're pretty much in 2022.
That's right. That's
in a
right.
matter of days. So no, that's beautiful. And because one thing I know with Fifth Ward, we never had amenities there. We only had one grocery store. No, one grocery store. In the 80s, it was Wine Gardens,
Yeah.
and then it went to Fiesta. That is it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, even South Park and all of them, they don't have no grocery stores. Kind of, they had those little corner stores. They used to have, I think, an HEB over there some time ago, and I think they closed it.
South Park has Pyburns now,
yeah, they have
Pittman,
Power.
the meat market.
and then they have the old HEB moved to 288.
Yeah.
Mhm.
On
So
McGregor.
you basically gotta go all the way to Pearland.
Yeah.
To
grocery shop.
grocery shop.
Pyburns or HEB or the Pearland. Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
One of the
Yes.
three. It's hard. I mean, the grocery store margins are thin,
Yeah.
and it kind of goes back to the rooftop economics model. It's hard to get Starbucks or Chick-fil-A to
Mhm.
come to areas if they don't meet the certain. If they don't fit
income,
within
yeah, income
Yeah.
standard.
the income, the rooftops, they don't fit within that box. It's hard to get people to come over there because they don't want to. Doesn't fit within their box.
Yeah, it's not a wise investment. I mean, I get it. I know every community would like to have a certain amount of amenities, but there's going to have to be some jobs there.
Right.
There has to have a certain level of income that they have some income to be able to expendable income.
Right.
If it's not there, it's not there.
Which is why for us at FCDC, we're focused on helping people make more money in their community. You know, people, you can say gentrification happens, and it's almost inevitable at some times. But what you can do is thinking about, okay, how can I help Big Mama make another 20 grand a year? How can I make my little nephew who's coming up where he can set off and make twice as much as I made growing up?
Mhm.
And that's a way where if people have more money in their pocket, things can suggest that they can, in turn, they can pay for more things, they have more expendable income, they can take care of their home better or buy their home from the landlord, and use you all to do that, to facilitate the transaction. And they can do those things because they have more money.
And they can give back more too.
Yeah,
The
they can
more
give back
money you
more.
have, the more you can give back
And
to somebody else. Not financially, but maybe just the knowledge that you have on how you got to that point. You know?
And it's a totally different mindset. Like when you own a home, when you buy a house,
Yes.
Oh,
and then you see people next door to you and they throw trash out in front of your house, and now you're like, hey, wait a minute. Now you're the angry neighbor, but just because you're taking pride in your ownership of your house. It's different than, if you're.
And a lot of people that do that don't end up they don't end up buying a house because they don't take care of somebody else.
That's right.
And you'll get what if you take care of somebody else's, and God will give you something of your own, But a lot of times, if you don't want to take care of somebody's stuff,
You're not gonna take care of you.
you're not gonna do it with your own stuff either. It's just a mindset.
Mindset is so important, and that's why we try to start with how can we bring more money to the people who live in the community.
Do you think bringing trade schools back into the inner city? Do you think that will help?
I think that there already are existing trade schools throughout. I think trade schools definitely have a really good purpose, and they are a way to make a good, decent, livable wage by learning different trades. And there was like a trend kind of we saw within generations where you saw welders or machinists, and then they told their kids don't do what I do, go to college and do that. And then now we have the student loan debt crisis and such that we go through, and now people are saying, do I have to go to college to make $95,000? Yeah, $90,000 a year. And the technical answer is no, you don't.
Yeah.
You can go learn how to weld and get a certification.
Plumbing.
And plumb.
Especially nowadays.
Electrical. Cabinetry. A lot of people don't know. Yes, a lot of people don't know cabinetry. The cabinets in your house start off around $10,000 to $15,000. So a cabinet maker, they can make a great living, but it's not advertised.
Right.
They don't. Plumbing, it's not really advertised. Electricians, they don't really advertise this, and there is going to be a group of people that don't want to go to college. Right. They may feel like their gift is with their hands. So the key word is, I didn't say they didn't want education. I said they didn't want to go to college.
So why does everybody want to be a realtor then? Because everybody want to be a realtor for some reason right now.
It's like new rappers.
Yeah.
T-shirt.
Oh my goodness! Before you look on Facebook and stuff, and everybody and somebody else that got their license next week, it's just.
Well, it's attractive. We go to things that are attractive, and you see a 1%er, and you want to be like the 1%er that's in your community. But it is. I think that you need to. It's kind of your question. I think that you need to have something that encapsulates manufacturing jobs where they can take trades, but then you also we need to make sure that we're taking STEAM or STEM courses as well too.
Yes.
Because there's a whole other set of people who are going to operate in the metaverse or operate in artificial intelligence, and they're going to do things with software, and they're going to make exponential leaps and bounds for innovation. Yeah. And so both of those are needed within the community. You can't just have one or the other. I think you need to have both.
See, they already have a technology school, I believe, in the Third Ward area. See, they're already preparing for that.
Yeah.
So what I'm talking about is the other part of the equation, and you are correct. We need both. Right now, everything is being pushed just to the STEM side, and we're missing out. In my opinion, the Black community is missing out on the trade side, because the one thing we do see in real estate is when you start looking at construction, who do you see out there as a majority? Yeah. It is the Hispanic community. Yes. It's not us. And I do a lot of their loans. They're making the money. Right. And so I'm like, hey, well, wait a minute. We need to re-tap back into that industry, into the plumbing industry, electrical, construction, cabinetry, because there is money to be made there. And so it tied into when you were saying about the manufacturing, how you're trying to bring different facilities so that it can create jobs. And that's the first thing that came to my mind is that, okay, well, we need to look for some opportunities there also so that we can give our children options.
Yeah.
Which way do you want to go? You want to go STEM or do you want to go trade?
Right.
It can't be STEM or nothing.
Right.
Are y'all giving opportunities to African Americans or colored people to be able to get into that type of business that you're in, or teach them the business?
So, that's something that we have on the horizon. I can say right now we've been head focused down trying to finish up the Maker Hub, so we're pretty much there now. I think we got connected on, what's kind of started was helping I've started African American men to get them into commercial real estate. And so I would have conversations similar to how we're having right now, and I would meet somebody and they said they're in commercial real estate as an architect or an engineer or a developer or a broker, and they said, Mike, man, you're the only guy I know that's a black man that's in commercial real estate, or maybe I know you and two other people. And I said, well, no, that's actually a lot of us. You need to know this person, this person, this person.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of me sending intro emails to 15 people and they wait, 9 months to meet with 6 of them and it takes a long time, I said, how can we get everybody in the room? And that's that picture, I think, that it was recently posted on LinkedIn maybe a month or 2 ago. And it was all of us just getting in the room and having lunch. So for people who are, this one was for black men specifically, black men who are in commercial real estate or who are trying to get in full time into commercial real estate. And it was a luncheon that we would have for any people who wanted to be involved who are in commercial real estate. Now there's a whole platform for residential agents, residential professionals who are black to get in. There's a whole platform. We love that. But there wasn't anything for the commercial side. Yeah. And so, what I tell people is that the state of Texas says that the only condition to sell a $200 million office building or to sell a land parcel for $1 in the middle of nowhere, it says that the only thing you have to do is have a real estate license. You don't have to have a PhD in commercial real estate. Yeah. You don't have to, be have $10 million a year and come from a wealthy family. You just have to have a license. Mm-hmm. And so I encourage people when they're considering where to go to look at commercial. The numbers are bigger, it may be more intimidating, but it's only more intimidating because you may not be comfortable or have seen anyone else around you operate with it. Yeah. Get around somebody who has operated with it, get comfortable, and over time, now you become a part of that group who's doing commercial endeavors and doing.
Because I think a lot of times it was just people kind of got the idea that it was just one type of person that did commercial.
Right.
They never considered, black people never considered doing commercial a lot of times because they always felt it was only one type of demographic that did commercial because that's the ones you saw all the time.
Right.
So a lot of people don't consider it because they don't even know they can even be a part of that,
right.
That type of that side of it.
Yeah.
So how can people get in contact with you?
They can. My cell phone number is 832-795-8613, and on email, I'm actually getting ready. This hasn't announced, so maybe I'm announcing it here first.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. All right.
We'll hit the press releases out in a couple of weeks, but I'm getting ready to go to Cushman and Wakefield.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you. So kind of full circle. So I'll be a director over there. So I don't have an email address.
I think phone number is great for now.
You can find you on LinkedIn too.
Yes, find me on LinkedIn. Absolutely, find me on LinkedIn. Michael Pittman, Mike Pittman II. Okay. And I would love to get connected with people on there.
Yeah. So can you close this out? Well, number one, we want to thank you again just for taking time out of your schedule to come out and speak with us.
Somebody behind him too. We just never mentioned.
Yeah, it's my beautiful wife. It's my beautiful wife, Renisha Pittman. who also just became a realtor within the past couple of months.
Well,
All
congratulations.
right, well,
That's
wait
why
a
he was
minute.
over there
All right,
laughing.
well, Mr. Pittman, look, it looks like I may need to develop a relationship with you. I definitely love to help you. So yeah, absolutely. Can you give us a closing words? I mean, this has been an amazing interview. I'm not surprised, another PV graduate. I got family graduate from PV and TSU. I need the TSU side. I'm gonna have to give y'all a call or something. Y'all
Yeah.
gonna have to come on out because PV right now is showing out. Give us a closing words, just I guess encouragement, or just for those who may want to go in the direction you want to go in, or just this interview alone has been inspirational. 29 years old, and this man has accomplished so many things that.
Well, I can tell you what I was doing at 29. It
Yeah.
wasn't nothing like what you doing. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
so man,
I didn't even own a house yet.
yeah,
you
man.
know,
So
just-
this is beautiful. We love what you're doing. Go ahead and close us out.
Yeah, so I'll say this: you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great.
That's it.
And if you want to be an investor, if you want to be a real estate professional, just get started. Reach out to others, and if it's a residential or commercial, get started. Sink your teeth into it. Be uncomfortable. Be comfortable being uncomfortable, and don't give up. No matter what. I made $6,000 my first year as an agent, commercial agent. Made $10,000 my second year. The third year on one transaction, I made 60 grand on one transaction, and then the rest was history. And so, be relentless. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. That's it.
That's it. All right, my brother. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you for all your insight and all the wisdom you've given everybody, and continue success, man. We pray that you
Absolutely.
continue
Peace
to.
and blessings, man. Continued
Yeah.
success for you and your family, man.
Continue.
This is beautiful.
Likewise.
Yeah, I hope you continue to keep going straight to the top, man. You know.
Thank you. And hopefully I'm invited back on the show again too.
Oh, for
Oh,
sure.
hell yeah.
Oh, for sure. We want to know,
Awesome.
your
Well,
progress,
you know what?
man.
You know what the next interview gonna be? His
Real
wife.
estate
That's
professional.
right.
over there.
That's right.
Yeah, she got to tell us about the market. So he don't know
Yeah.
nothing about the market. She keep you
Yeah,
updated on it.
this is gonna be a family thing. Cause think about what he told us earlier. His parents were both doing
Real estate.
real estate,
Right.
and I see that same trend going on. So yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't make her either. I didn't. She got it on her own. And early on, I tried, but then after I let it, I had to be and calm down.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. You got to let them figure it out. But you know what? It's all good now. Y'all in it now, so y'all can work something together eventually. In time, something gonna work out together. So
That's right.
definitely, well, appreciate you coming on, bro. And yes, we'll definitely have you back, man. And want to see your progress. You know, maybe make 100 million next year or something. You know, we should want to know what's going on with you. So
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you.
Thank everybody for coming on the show. We'll be back again next time. Y'all have a blessed weekend. We'll see you next time.
Excuse me 1 second.
Yeah.